Hello, welcome to the Journal of Stories podcast. I am your host, Elder Van Cott. I am a service missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. On this podcast, I collect life stories and testimonies from many different people with diverse backgrounds. So I hope you'll join me in learning and growing from these powerful stories. On to the episode. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited to get to know more about you today.
Glad to be here and have this conversation about life and how we got here.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right. To start off, who are you? And just start with your name.
I'm Herbert. That's my name, Herbert Shades. I work at Excelsior Academy. I'm the IT director. And I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I've been a member since February 2003. And it's been a fun ride. It's been so much fun. As with any part of life, you've got the ups and the downs. And I'd like to say the trajectory has been positive, or the gradient or the slope, whatever you call it, has been positive. In my life ever since. So not to say that there hasn't been some big road bumps, but it's all been good. I'm going to say it's been good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the big question,
Okay.
and answer however you feel is appropriate.
All right.
What is your story? And start from the beginning.
So my mom met my dad. They loved each other, and I was born. That was in 1974 in Uganda, born and raised for a bit of time in Uganda. We moved to Kenya as refugees, I'm going to say maybe 1980, early 80s. Specific dates escape me right now. But we're refugees in Kenya until 1990, August 6th. Is when we got sponsored by a Mennonite congregation in Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba. So August 6th is actually when we landed. We left Kenya in the middle of the night. On August 5, I believe, we flew from Nairobi to, it was on Swiss Air. Back then, I don't know if that's still alive as a company, flew to Zurich. From Zurich we went to Frankfurt. From Frankfurt, went to Toronto. From Toronto, then we landed into Winnipeg, and that was home since August 6, 1990. We arrived at around, I'm going to say 9:30 p.m. And the sun was still up, and people were like, yeah, welcome to Canada. We're going to drop you off. You guys are going to go to sleep. We're going to go to sleep at our houses. And we're like, wait a minute. The sun is still up. It's 9:30. You didn't say it was a.m. or p.m. Like, no. It's 9:30 p.m. Yes, it's summer. The sun is still up. You guys are going to bed. we were tired anyway, so we just fell asleep for a few days. But that's how we came to North America. Went to school in Canada for grade 11 and 12. And then I moved to the US, I'm doing air quotes. In 1999, September 5 is when we came. I worked for AT&T at the time. September 5, it was shortly, I think, before the Olympics were to come, or something to that effect, because I remember we got on I-15, got lost from the airport on the way to the... Back then it was called the E Center. I forget what it's called right now. But we were staying at the Crystal Inn at the E Center. And that was my home from September 5, 1999 to, I'm going to say, better part of 2001. Because working for AT&T, you travel, you go home, you come back. And then in 2003, got laid off in February, shortly after I got baptized. And then I came back to the US in November 2003, got married in 2004, had babies in 2006. Something happened in the marriage, and in 2014 got divorced. Working still all through that. And then in 2016, November 3rd, my beautiful wife today and I went on a date up in Grandeur Peak in Mill Creek. 2018, June 3rd, we got married. And a few weeks ago, I met Elder Van Cott at the Temple Open House. And here we are. So that's a Reader's Digest of that's what brought us to this point.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about what it was like moving and living around in, it was Uganda start, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So Uganda from 74 to, I'm going to say 81, because 7 years when we moved to Kenya, 81. Mm-hmm. You're a kid. You don't know what's going on. We had a civil war happening at that time. And so as a kid, you just, wake up and the whole neighborhood is destroyed. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I got to go explore now what's happening out there.
Oh, wow.
Then we had a big giant exodus. I think it was in 1981. The war was intensifying. The rebels were coming into the city. So we had to leave. So there was, I'm going to say, an exodus, a true exodus. We talk about the exodus in the Bible and the Israelites, traveling as a big giant caravan, moving from one place to the next. We had something similar where there was just a caravan of people just walking with luggage as much as you could carry on your head, and going from Uganda crossing into Kenya. I remember some vivid memories of walking across the River Nile, and the bridge had been destroyed. So there's this kind of like one lane where you have big, humongous lorries, trucks, ahead of you, and the bridge is creaking. And, me as a little 7-year-old and my parents were just walking behind the big giant lorry. And you're looking down and you're seeing, the river rushing through. Of course, when you're a 7-year-old, even a stream looks like it's a humongous river. We went back a few years ago and we drove over the River Nile. I'm like, wait a minute. Why did it feel like it was 10 miles from the bridge to the bottom of the river, back then, when right now I'm looking, it's a few meters. But when a big giant caravan walked across the River Nile, you'd see dead bodies in the river. You see pigs, animals, like all sorts of filth in the river. Because during the war, everything is a casualty. So we moved to Kenya. We were refugees in Kenya. We lived in a refugee camp for a while. And then you stay in a refugee camp for it felt like years, but it wasn't that long, upon hindsight. But in a refugee camp, you're ward of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, so the UNHCR. Once you're accepted into refugee status, and the UNHCR, I'm going to say funds or supports you. So based on however much money they got, I don't know where they got it from, they would pay for our food while we were in the camp. Entertainment, you have a TV, a communal TV, so you have like 50 families. In the evening, you congregate around a gazebo kind of structure, and the kids are watching, whatever is on TV back then. So we used to watch black and white shows from America. It's like, oh, I wish I could be there with those kids. They're having so much fun. But, it's TV, it's Hollywood, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Then once you get out of a refugee camp, you're still a refugee. You don't belong to Kenya. You're not a citizen. So the United Nations sponsored us to go to school. So I went to high school. My brother went to a boarding school. I was in a boarding school too. My mom with my youngest sister, Esther, and my youngest brother, Daniel, stayed in the city, but they too were also going to school. Mom got enrolled in a tailor. It's a sewing school. So you have a tailor who, sews clothes and sells them as a way of subsistence living. That was, her trade while we were there. And then through that whole process of the UNHCR, you fill out forms that say, if you had your way, okay, out of these many countries that are not Uganda or Kenya, where would you go? So I think, if I remember correctly, what my mom tells is she chose Australia, she chose England, Canada, and the US. I'm sure among many. And so the United Nations gets this paperwork, and they socialize it. That's, I think, the right word for it. They socialize it to various charitable organizations or church organizations. And those churches have to, a list of, okay, we have family from Kenya, this is their story. We have a family from Rwanda or Burundi or, all sorts of warring environments. This is their story. You guys, choose. So I was in school, and in August, I believe, I don't know when the actual traction started happening, but all I know is August, I was in boarding school. The school got a call saying, hey, Herbert needs to come home ASAP. So ASAP, it's like, hey, I guess I'm going home for a minute. You're in boarding school. I'm going home for a minute. I'll be back. So I got the call at the boarding school. I went home, and home isn't home. It's just a shanty. It's think of a corrugated tin roofs. Corrugated, okay, 4 walls made of that, and the roof made of corrugated. It's a shanty in the middle of the city. That was home. Out of when you're not in school. So I got home, and mom was like, "We're going to Canada," and I'm like, "Yeah, right." Yeah, right. So in this shanty, we had, I'm going to say, a bunk bed and mom's bed. And we had enough of a life in there, It was a one room. Most garages here are bigger than what we lived in. And there was the bunk bed. There was mom's section of the we call it chibati, Kibati, chibati, because it's made of corrugated roof material. That's what it was. And in the corner, you've got, a kitchen area, but it's not a kitchen. It's just where you have a coal stove, and you've got a little table with food on it. It's not a refrigerator where you can wake up in the middle of the night and go eat. It's just what you have today is what you have today. That's it. So anyway, she says, "Are we going to Canada?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right. I need to go back to school." Life at school was much more interesting because you're with your peers, and it's a all boys boarding school. It was fun. Then August 5, time over there, we were supposed to report to the United Nations office. I didn't know where it was. So mom says, "Okay, 6:00 tonight, everybody get on a bus, it's a minibus. So think of a minivan. Okay. So we get in a minivan. It's like a public transit minivan. We go to the embassy, or the United Nations office, embassy, whatever it's called. And they say, "Okay, you're in." We close, you get into the gates. They close the gates behind you. And from that point on, it was dark. Everything felt hush. It's like, what's going on? Okay, hush. We get into these luxury vehicles, the Mercedes-Benz, oh wow, cool, the United Nations vehicles. And it felt like something very clandestine, or very, it's like, when you watch movies and the CIA is hijacking people out of the country, that's how it felt like. It's like, okay, drive, like it's there was about 3 or 4 vehicles just following each other closely, turn left, turn right. I don't know why. We end up at the airport. We get checked in at the airport in Nairobi, and we are not mixing with the general population at the airport, we just like follow this person, just stay with him, just go with this person. So we get on the plane. We're the first ones to get on the plane. I'm like, wow, I guess we're going to Canada.
It hit you then.
Yes, it's like, okay, we're getting out of the country. So we left that evening. We landed in Zurich, like I said. It was Swiss Air. It was a really nice flight. You look back and you're like, wow, it really happened. Get on a plane, never been on a plane before. They're giving you food, and you're enjoying this delicious food, and you're like, what is this? It's snail. Escargot. That's the truth. That part, I vividly remember, like, these little round things on the plate, like, this is so delicious. And you ask the hostess, the flight attendants, like, what is this? Can I have some more? Oh, you enjoyed the snails. Take it out. Not eating any of that. But it was an adventure. It was really, really fun. Another memorable thing around that was when we got on the plane, it was just us, in my mom and my siblings. And they gave us a white bag. It was a white plastic bag. We didn't have anything. So our chibati, that house, that place we called home, we did not take anything from there. We just had, when you hear people saying all we had was what we were wearing, what was on our back, that's literally what happened. What you wore is what we had. We didn't have anything else. But on the airplane, when you got on the plane, they gave us the bag, and it had in big blue letters, UNHCR. And the person who gave it to us said, okay, you guys are going at the next stop. When you get off the plane, just hold the bag up high, okay? And somebody will find you. So we got to Zurich. I'm holding the bag up high. Somebody comes and says, Christine, because that's my mom's name. Christine, yes. And they take the bag, they take out a piece of paper, and they say, follow me. So we go to the next terminal, and they say, okay, you're going to Frankfurt. When you get there, just raise the bag, and somebody will take you to the next stop. We got to Frankfurt, and somebody came, took the bag, took out some papers, and then led us to the next gate. And they said, okay, repeat and rinse when you get to Toronto. Raise the bag, and wherever you get, So we got to Toronto, and the same thing happened. And they took out the bag. They took out the paperwork, and they said, okay, when you get to Winnipeg, that's it. That's it. There's no more lifting your hand. Just when you get to Winnipeg, there'll be somebody waiting for you. So we got to Winnipeg. We had one paper left. I think that was like a customs, letting customs know, okay, these people are being something that let the authorities at the airport know that these people are here.
Yeah.
So we got to the airport, and then at the bottom of, you get through customs. Again, we don't have anything to declare. We don't have any, So we get down the stairs. And at the bottom of the stairs, there's a group of people with my mom's name, Christine. So we arrive, and that was at 9:30, on August 6th, when we landed in Winnipeg, and that was the end of the flight. So it was fun, In 1990, August, I was 16 years old, so it was quite an adventure, on a plane, plucked from school, and boom, in Winnipeg you are.
Wow.
Yes.
That is a great way to describe it, as an adventure.
Yes, it was. Had lots of fun.
Yeah. So now you're in Canada.
Yes. So in Canada, when we left, I should say Kenya, I was in grade 11. Back then it's called Senior 3. Grade 12 is Senior 4. So when we got to Winnipeg, when we left Kenya, it was the third term out of 4 in grade 11. So the next term would have completed, and then the next year, because our school year goes January to November, I would have been in senior 4, which would be grade 12. But in Canada, arriving in August, that year was September to is grade 11. So we did the tests. They tested for math, English, and I think maybe chemistry to place me where I needed to be. And I was like, I speak English. I don't need to go into ESL classes. I can do math. I can do chemistry. I need to be with grade 12 because that's where my peers back home in Kenya are going. They're grade 12. I need to be with that grade. And they're like, no, we just put in 11 because, by age, by virtue of age, that's where you should be. So it was age-driven versus what you know driven. So I went to Daniel McIntyre High School. And that was in grade 11 and grade 12. They put me in 101 classes, I believe. Or I'm going to say XO1 classes because we have 200. So let us say there's history 200 and then history 201. English 100 or 300 and 301. So the O1s were the lesser classes. Mm-hmm. So here in the US we have what's the APs? So, geography AP or history AP. Those were the 200s, and then whatever isn't AP is the lesser version or the lesser grade. Mm-hmm. I don't know, the lesser intensity. So they put me in the O1 classes, but I was like, no, I don't want to do the O1s. I'm doing the real things. Back home in Kenya, we have pure sciences, for example, and the non-pure sciences. So that's the equivalent of I'm taking physics 300. That's the Kenya would say physics pure sciences versus physics regular, which would be physics 201 or 301.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm not doing the 201s. Once I understood what 201 versus 200 meant, I'm like, no, I'm not doing the 201s. I'm doing the pure sciences or the core stuff.
Yeah.
So I did the 300s in grade 11 and grade 12. Went to University of Manitoba. I got a job in a beautiful restaurant called DH Stove, which is Mennonite or German, High German, Low German, Ukrainian, Russian, I'm going to say, for the kitchen, DH Stove. Worked in the kitchen as a dishwasher, and then for a minute I would help clean and prep the kitchen stuff. And then I started working at AT&T in a call center, making outbound calls, selling long distance. Hello, sir, would you like to switch your long distance from whoever it was to AT&T? And then AT&T had operations, of course. AT&T is an American company, but they were trying to get into Canada. Somebody said, hey, you would be good at teaching. I'm like, okay. Let's have you train, tech support. So I did training for tech support. And then they said, hey, we have operations in Salt Lake. Would you like to, go visit? And, so, and you're like, sure, I'll go. I'm a young kid. I'm having fun at school. I'm having fun working. So let's go to Salt Lake. So we flew out on September 5th. I think it was a holiday, or there was a holiday coming up around there. We arrived at the airport here in Salt Lake, and we didn't know we were going. So I think we got a map or directions from the car rental place, and they said, just go, turn right, you'll be at the E-Center. No, I think, it's not that, it's called the Maverick Center now. And then we got on I-15. It was construction season for the Olympics that were coming. And we went all the way to Provo. I remember that much. We missed our exits. We just kept going all the way to Provo. And we got to Provo gas station. And we say, hey, we're lost. We need to get to this place. And they're like, whoa, you are way in the wrong place. You need to go back. This was pre-GPS days.
Yeah.
So we just drove back up north, and somehow, somewhere, we miraculously found the East Center area and the Crystalline, and that was home for a very long time while I worked for AT&T. Yep.
Awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. When we had our conversation at the temple where we met,
Yes.
you told me the pamphlet story.
Yes.
And I would love if you could retell that story because it's just so good.
Yes. So, when we were coming to Salt Lake, we traveled in pairs. There was another group of travelers. Robert Campbell and Elaine McFarland traveled together, and I traveled with a very wonderful lady. Her name was Lorraine Carpenter. And at the airport, as we checked into the security, this was pre 9/11. You could talk and have a 10 years long conversation with the security people.
Yeah.
The security guy asked us, "Hey, where are you guys going?" We're going to Salt Lake. It's like, oh, that's a strange place for you guys to be going. Watch out for the Mormons. And I'm like, oh, okay. Never heard of these people, but sure. Now, when he said that, I was like, the Mormons, airport. Watch out for the Mormons at the airport. Watch out for the Mormons. And I was thinking, what flashed in my head was the movie Airplane. In the movie Airplane, you see the lead character walking through the airport, and there's all these Jehovah's Witness people, the Church of Enlightenment, all these people with pamphlets, pushing them in his face, like, would you like to donate? Would you like to join? Would you like, So when he said, watch out for the Mormons, that's what was in my head. It's like, oh, so I'm going to run into people pushing pamphlets and papers into my face to join a religion or join something. Anyway, we get to the airport. I'm looking forward to these, pamphlet pushers, so I could maybe punch one of them like they did in the movie. I think his name is Robert Hayes. That's the lead actor in that movie. Robert Hayes. So I could punch him. And there was no Mormons at the airport. I was like, man, this is disappointing. Where's my movie moment? Anyway, I report to work over the next few weeks at AT&T in Salt Lake, and I'm instructing in the front of a classroom, and I said, "Hey guys, when I was flying in at the airport, they asked me to watch out for the Mormons. I haven't seen any Mormons anywhere. Where are these people? It was the highlight of my arrival to Salt Lake. I haven't seen them." So these people in the classroom just break out laughing. It's like, that guy's a Mormon, that guy's a Mormon, that girl is a Mormon. They're everywhere. They're just not pushing pamphlets in your face. So I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of different. It's this silent majority. The whole, a good 80+% of the people in the classroom, in a business environment, classroom were Mormons, and they weren't pushing, pamphlets in my face. Like, oh, okay, I guess the egg is on my face. That kind of thing. So that was classic, and it was fun. So anyway, I have since become one of the Mormons. That was fun. When I asked where the Mormons are, there's a lady in the classroom. Her name was Mary O'Driscoll. She was in a wheelchair. I forget what condition she had, but she was one of our best people at AT&T, and she invited me to go to church. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll go. I really want to see these, Mormons. So I went to the church. It was a family ward somewhere on the, I'm going to say, east side of State Street. Because that's, in that, I vividly remember, State was the dividing, east and west. That was a major artery in the city-state.
Yeah.
State Street. So went to the family ward, and it was noisy. It was very noisy. I was like, I'm not coming back. This is too noisy. kids running all over the place. There was no, growing up in Africa, in a church environment, even at boarding school, we used to have services on Sunday. It was, I'm going to say, very reverent. You have the priest, the father, or the pastor talking. Everybody is attentive and reverent, even the little ones. You're raised to be quiet, listen, sing, and get out. Versus in a family ward where there's kids running all over the place, screaming and yelling, and it was and the service is not by a pastor or a father or a deacon or one person. It's several people giving talks.
Yeah.
It was different than what I knew. Even, in Winnipeg, when we landed in, 1990, from when we landed to 1999, when, we came to Salt Lake, those 9 years, you go to a church service, you have one person leading the congregation service.
Yeah.
If there's a musical number, yes, they sing, they move off, back to the one person. So this, 5 people giving talks and you're singing and there's kids jumping all over the place. For me, it was like a turn off. Like, no, I'm not coming back. Sorry, Mary. Thank you very much. See you later. So I didn't go back to church. I had, every now and then I would get invited by somebody. Let's go to church. I had a few friends who were members of the Unitarian congregation up on 1300 East, close to the university. And I went to that one several times because it was, one person at the front talking and everybody else was listening. Yes, we sing. It felt warm. It wasn't my congregation or my, cup of tea really.
Yeah.
But it was the norm. It felt like home.
Familiar.
Yes, there you go. That's the right word. Familiar. And then I'm going to say in 2002, I had been here for a long time, and then somebody said, hey, you should go to the YSA. So I had been living at the Crystal Inn for a long time. And then, AT&T was paying for the rent and all that good stuff, the hotel fees. And at some point, I talked to the right people. I asked the right people and said, hey, could I relocate to Salt Lake? And they're like, let's think about it. And then the next day they came like, yeah, let's move you to Salt Lake. So I flew back to Winnipeg for a minute, got my stuff packed up from my mom's house, moved to Salt Lake, got an apartment. Now I'm an independent person. I had a visa. And somebody said, hey, you should go to the YSA. It's like, what's a YSA? And it's where, of course, the young single adults place. So I hang out at the YSA. I met a young lady. We just visited. We had fun. Whenever they would have FHEs on Monday evenings is when they would have the FHEs, family home evenings. But in a YSA context, we would take turns cooking. Every other Monday, somebody would cook and they would host. They would have some events at the house, scriptures. And I was having the time of my life in this YSA environment. On Sundays, we would go to church. There was no kids running everywhere. It was, yes, there was no one person talking. There was several people talking, but whoever was talking, the members of your age group, they're your peers. On Monday night, they were at your house. You guys were playing cards. On Sunday, they're giving a talk. On Friday evening, you guys are going camping in the bushes. And then on Sunday, they're giving a talk. It was a very active YSA. So it felt really, really good. It's like, okay, I have arrived. This feels like, that proud, or I'm going to say pride, I'm going to call it spirit thing, like something in your heart feels full and happy and content. And the YSA. And then one, I think it was Thanksgiving, Canada Thanksgiving. I drove, which is in October, I drove to Winnipeg to visit my mom for Thanksgiving. And then, it's a funny story on that one. I have a lead foot. That's who I am. I drive fast. So I'm driving north, and I'm just my friend. I used to work with a friend, a coworker. He's still a friend. I haven't talked to him in ages. So his name is Isaac Lassig, and he's like, "You're going to Winnipeg?" Yes, and I said, "I have $1,500 set aside for speeding tickets," because I knew I was going to be speeding.
Oh man.
I didn't speed. Luckily, I didn't speed. But on the way home, I was like, I was coming home to Salt Lake, to my apartment to Salt Lake, coming back from my mom's home, which was, home from 1990 to 1999. But it felt like coming back to Salt Lake, driving to Salt Lake, felt more coming home than going back to Winnipeg. For some reason, it felt that strong, that comfortable, that retaining, that bubble coming back. And when I had left, I had given my girlfriend at the time the keys to my house, so she would check in, make sure things were fine. So on the way home, I'm driving. It's late, around 5 p.m. I stop in Malad, Idaho, to fill up. I put petrol in the vehicle, and I call her because working for AT&T, I was an operations manager, so they had given me a cell phone. So I'm on a company phone. So I call her and say, "Hey, I'm in Malad. I'm filling up. I'm almost back." And she said, "Hey, did you by chance schedule missionaries to come visit with you?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't, but I'm glad they're there because I want to talk to them." I want to talk to them. So I didn't talk to them on the phone, but when I got home, made arrangements, we started doing the discussions. I still have the books they used to teach from. I still have them at home. I have a big binder that has, all the good stuff that we did in the YSA. But I still have those lessons, the booklets they taught from. So I visited with the missionaries. That was 2002, Thanksgiving, when I was coming back. And then February of 2003 is when I got baptized. And things were, cloud nine, everything this is, we are rolling. And then February 15, or the middle of February, AT&T publishes a memo saying, "We are shutting down the office in Salt Lake." And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I just got baptized. I'm having fun. Why are things falling apart? So what happened? So February 28th, I pack up my car, my whole apartment. I pack up and head north because I was on a visa. So when you get laid off by the company that sponsors your visa, it's void. Now it's invalid. So you have to go home.
Yeah.
So I packed up my furniture. I had a full apartment full of life. My couches, all that I put in my girlfriend at the time in her parents' basement. They're like, just store it here. If you're not coming back, we'll just sell it, whatever. So I packed all that stuff, put it in their basement, and went back to Winnipeg. So from February 2003, I was unemployed. Luckily, the way it works is you can still be unemployed, and as long as you're looking for work, you can collect unemployment benefits. So the Utah state was paying unemployment benefits while I was still looking for work, even though I was out of the country. That's allowed, or was allowed back then. So I'm looking for work. The people I had been working with here at AT&T, some people were working at had moved to another company called United Carrier Networks at the time. It's changed names several times since then. And they said, "Hey, apply to this company down here it was in Bluffdale. So I applied, and they're like, but you're in Canada. It's like, this was long before the remote, you could work remote. It was a telecom company. They're like, yeah, but you're in Canada. It's like, yeah, but I got to apply. It was part of that, while you're on unemployment UI benefits, you have to apply. Okay. And while you can show that you've been applying, your benefits still carry on. If you stop applying, then the benefits stop. So this for me was like a begrudgingly, I'll apply, we'll see what happens. So anyway, this wonderful gentleman, his name was Henry Santandre, was a director at this company. And I interviewed with him, and he's like, I think you have something you could bring of value to our company. Let's keep in touch. So Henry, forwarded my resume and the report he had written up on the interview to his boss. His name was Ken Krog. Ken Krog was one of the owners of the company. And I spoke to Ken once, and he's like, yeah, I think we can get you down here. I'm like, whoa, well, that's good. That's promising. So this is through the summer of 2003. And Ken and the company, United Carrier Networks, engaged Curtin McConkie, the law firm downtown. These are the guys who work on missionary papers. At the time, I don't know who does it today, 2024. Back then, Curtin McConkie, the law firm, is the one that did the visas for missionaries as they go over the place.
Yeah.
So that organization contacted me and said, hey, we've been retained to work on you coming back to work in Utah. And so I'm like, oh, okay, who's paying for this? Don't worry about it. So I'm going to say around July to September, they asked for all sorts of papers, university, the report you get from grades, university transcripts, and work experience, all that good stuff. And I submitted all that stuff, and then it went quiet. Like, okay, I'm still looking for work in Canada. Around that time, telecom was, crashing. 2003. This was long before the 2008 big crash, but things weren't looking good. And then in November 17th, around November 17th, I'm going to say November maybe 16. I get a call from one of the paralegals, I'm going to say, at the McConkie place, saying, hey, we're sending you a FedEx package. Okay, it's coming overnight. Tomorrow, when it arrives, don't wait, don't stop, head for the border. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, no. When it arrives, sign for it, head for the border. All this time, since February, when I got home to Winnipeg, my car had been parked in my mom's garage the way I arrived. I hadn't taken a shoe, I hadn't taken a blanket, I had taken a pair of pants from the car. It was packed in my mom's garage as if I was waiting to return. Yeah. So we had a joke that, when you're pregnant, you have 9 months. So from February to November, that's my 9 months of expecting. So November 17th, I drove 2 hours from Winnipeg to the border with this envelope, and I gave it to the border people, and they're like, oh, welcome to the US.
Nice.
And I drove all day and all night. Don't stop. I was not stopping. I was not stopping until I arrived in West Jordan to my girlfriend's house, parents' house. and I lived in their basement from November. I think I proposed to her in February of 2004, 2004. We got married on April 24th, 2004, and it was, you know, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. So yeah, that's the Canada, US,
Yeah.
loop-de-loop thing. And then in 2006, April 2006, we bought our house in Riverton. 2006 June, June 6, Malika was born. That was our daughter, number one. And I worked at this company that had sponsored me to work from 2003, November 17, when I came. I consider myself, when I crossed the border, I became an employee. Period. That's my date. I worked for them until 2013. June is when I started working for a different company. But yeah, so 2006, Malika was born. 2009, Elijah was born. 2009, December, we adopted Rachel. 2014, things fell apart in the marriage. And then 2006, November 3rd, Jocelyn and I went for a hike in the mountains. We met online, eHarmony. Yay! eHarmony in 2016. We started dating. When the marriage dissolved, I had just changed companies. 2013, when you're having a great life, we had just adopted Rachel in 2009. She was hitting the strides in school. The kids were doing good. Elijah was in preschool. I had just started this new job at a different company, better pay, working from home. It was a California-based company, working from home. Again, when things are going good, and then boom, a big giant slap in the face. When I got baptized in February 2003, and then boom, got laid off. What's going on? What's this all about? And so when the divorce happened, it hit me really hard in the stomach. Somebody kicking in the stomach really hard.
Yeah.
I always liken it to, chewing tinfoil. If you've never held tinfoil in your teeth, don't. It's terrible. There's chemists, the batteries have layers of a filler and something, like the chemistry, how batteries work. There's layers of stuff.
Yeah.
It has the same, that layering in batteries is similar to if you put tinfoil between your teeth. There's a chemical something that happens when you put tinfoil between your teeth. And it's not a good taste or good feeling. So to me, when the divorce happened, that's what I felt like, why am I, going to church? Why am I living the right way? And then things just fall apart in the most extreme ways.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm done with the church. I'm out. God, Heavenly Father, just see you later. So I was really bitter. But through some fellowship with the ward I moved into, the apartments that I lived in, they were assigned to us, the Harriman First Ward. Through fellowship, through the Elders Quorum, I was like, okay, just, attend church. Some of the members in my old ward had moved into this ward by virtue of their families growing. So they were there to fellowship as well. I got called into the CTR 7 class with an elder, Adam Eames. And we were both teachers in that ward, in that class, CTR 7, I think, -8. And we just had fun teaching these little ones. And there's no way I could stay angry at Heavenly Father and then on Sundays be teaching the little ones. That would be, a duopoly I couldn't carry on with. So I had stopped going to the temple and all that kind of, work. And I was just like, but being involved in the church helped ground me and keep me, I'm going to say, on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Then when I met Jocelyn, we went to, we attended temple services, and we had this, whenever possible, we would, again, I was working from home. So I would, she was working at American Prep Academy in West Valley. So, every Tuesday or so, when I had a big lunch window, I would drive up to APA, we would have lunch, then I'd go back to work. We'd go to the temple, where we'd go hiking. I met her kids, she met my kids. And we had a few breakups. She says there was multiple breakups in that period. I only remember one, and again, it's one of those things are going good, and then we break up. It's like, So anyway, if Heavenly Father, you're counting, we people down here count in threes. Bad things happen in threes. I've had my bad things, 3 of them. Enough. So, so we went hiking. I met her family, her kids, and met her larger family. She met my family. And then we got married in 2018, June. So, and then, through working, again, continued working from home until 2022, June, when I got laid off again. This wasn't bad. It was, it wasn't as bad or severe as the other one. So I don't count it as a fourth. It was just hard, all around hard.
Yeah.
And then the Associate Academy needed an IT person. They interviewed me. And actually the interview wasn't, I'm going to say, hey, come in, you have an interview. It was like, hey, we're thinking of moving in this direction. What do you think about, because, what do you think? What's this space? What's the IT space looking like? What does it look like? How would they handle this? Going forward, how would you handle this? So it was more of a consultation meeting than, hey, checkbox A, you made checkbox B, you made checkbox C, you made. So they were like, oh, that sounds like it could solve our problems. Would you consider working for us? I'm like, yes, I will work with you. I will work with you. And it's a great team, the executive team, the faculty, the kids. Oh, so much fun. Smiles. Since I started there on January calendar date, January 1st, 2023, there hasn't been a day you come home and you're like, oh, that sucked. There is not, because if something breaks, you fix it and you walk outside and the kids are like, yay, good job, we're back on the internet. Or, good job, XYZ is working again, or, the fact that the printers are dead. Crack, quack, 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 crunch, crunch, crunch. Oh, the printers are working again. Yay. And everybody is in it. Everybody's engaged. Everybody's enrolled in making it work.
Yeah.
Making the school work, making the environment work for the kids, for the faculty, for everybody has skin in this game. And it's great. So yeah. I guess we're up to date now.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet now.
Not just yet. I just have a couple more questions.
Okay.
I like to ask this question.
Okay.
What are you most grateful for?
Hindsight. Hindsight. It's always good to have a foundation. And for me, hindsight is a foundation. I remember in all the times that we've been in hard places, my mom always prayed. And I can look back and say, she prayed and we made it through X. She prayed and we made it through Y. And another time she prayed and Z happened. So to me, looking back, I can say, yeah, if anything, you can be educated, you can have the money, you can have whatever, you can have resources galore and still be unemployed. You can have, rank in a company and still be laid off. You can be as happy as a pig in the proverbial sty and your marriage still falls apart. But for me, looking back, I can say, whenever I prayed, things happened. Movement happened. When I've been faithful, and not necessarily to wrap this around religion, but whenever I've been faithful, the Lord has been faithful. The whole time I was unemployed in Winnipeg, getting unemployment benefits, I was like, tithing. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Tithing. Because there was a YSA in Winnipeg. And I made lots of good friends in the YSA in Winnipeg too, by the way. Tithing. Initially it was like, I don't have any income. Why am I paying this? And then at some point it was like, out of sight, out of mind. First thing out of the paycheck, tithing, gone. So what I have is what's left. And when I got laid off, tithing. When the Lord has always been faithful. I pray and things happen. And sometimes they come out of an unplanned, avenue, and boom, okay, we're back on good solid footing. So for me, I'm going to say hindsight is always has been good to know that while right now in the moment things may not be good, they have been good. Well, when did they start being good? When you started being faithful, when you were, strong. So to me, I think that's big.
I love that. Here's an interesting one.
Okay.
What is your definition of success?
I don't know that I have a definition of success, because success is a judgment. Success is a summary. I haven't run a marathon. I'm just saying. I ran a marathon. I completed it without injury. That's a measure of success. Mm-hmm. You completed something, you've succeeded. I don't know that I've completed anything. I still consider myself a work in progress. Everything I do is work in progress. I'm raising kids. My wife and I, we are raising kids. We are not done. So we can't measure how successful we've been in that. We are married. We are still on a journey. We can't say we are successful yet. We can work all day long and get accolades at the end of the day. We can get raises. We can get, promotions. I don't know that I call that success in my book. So I don't have a definition of success. There's a dictionary version, there's a dictionary definition of success. But to me, I haven't succeeded yet. I'm not done. I haven't reached that. I've crossed the line. I can look back and say, "Ooh, I've succeeded at that." So I don't think, I don't know that I have an answer to answer your question of what is the definition of success? What's the measure of success? In my book, success is keeping up, keeping on, keeping on. That is success. You fall, you get up, you've succeeded in overcoming that pothole, that road bump at that time. Are you done? No, you're not, because there's still more to come. So I think for me, the measure of success will be when we cross over to the other side and we can look back and say, maybe I did succeed. We've raised kids. They are on their journey. At some point, I may be able to look back and say, Elijah, you're doing well. John, you're doing well. I guess I succeeded in something. But I haven't gotten to where I can use quantitatively something to say, this is successful, this isn't. I don't know if that's that fits what you're looking for.
That's good. I just wanted your answer, and that's very cool.
Okay, there you go.
Thought-provoking.
That's my answer. Success is fleeting. If that's, I think somebody said that success is fleeting. It's never ending. You just keep going. And at some point, somebody may help you, may give you a wand that says, okay, this is successful. This was successful. You go to 98% here, but that's a judgment. That's an external view of what's in the crucible, what's in the, snow globe, for you to say, yeah, my time in that snow globe, was a success. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we have not yet?
I think right now, what's the most exciting part for me is temples. There's a temple announced in Kampala, Uganda. That was brilliant. Our temple here, Deseret Peak, that's wonderful. I'm looking forward to working with you, albeit, we'll be leaving and not coming in. So that's wonderful. I think it's an interesting time to be alive, I'm going to say. For one. It's an interesting time to be in Tooele County. And it's an interesting time to be really working, be it, in your ministry as a missionary, being a parent, being teachers, being whoever. It's a great time. And I'm just, looking forward to seeing where we go with all this. And like I said before, Heavenly Father, I've had my 3 strikes. I think that's enough. We need to just work towards the temple in Uganda. It's going to be interesting because it's a rough place to be politically, but with the temple that's, like President Nelson said, with every temple being built, it diminishes the power of the adversary. So whatever's happening out there, we have a temple in Nairobi, we have a temple in the DRC, which is on the other side. So on each side of Uganda, we have temples. So now we have a temple in the middle. So the equator across Africa is going to have temples. So, so things are happening. So that's exciting. So I'm looking forward to what happens in the next, I'm going to say 3 years while the temple is being built. And we'll see what happens 3 years from now.
Yeah.
I don't know. The number 3 is on my tongue. So we'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a closing tradition for the podcast.
Okay.
Where the previous guest left a question for you in this journal.
Okay.
Your question is, what special event or time let you know that you had a testimony?
Let me read that. What special event or time let you know? Okay, let me know that you had a testimony. Oh, there's so many, but a special event. Let me know. I have a testimony. This may sound cliche, but I think so. On June 3rd, maybe June 2nd, the wedding day, my wedding day. My friend Jackson and my mom came up. I say up because we're in the mountains; they're lower. They came up for the wedding, and my friend Alicia flew in from New York. And on the wedding day, my mom, not being a member, couldn't go into the temple. But Jackson and I, my friend Jackson Issachar and I went to the temple. And we went to the temple on the wrong side of the temple. And they let us through, like all the way. And I was dressed and ready to go, for the ceiling. And then somebody came and said, "Hey, your bride's waiting for you on the other side of the temple." And on the other side of the temple, they had thought we didn't show up.
Oh.
So I got undressed and went back down because you have to, there's an interview and there's paperwork you need to do. And to me, that exercise of going up, getting dressed, and then coming back down, going to do the right paperwork, and coming, getting on the proper side of the temple to meet my bride to be. To me, that is testimony of there's order in the Lord's ways. Yes, I was up and ready to go into the ceiling room to wait for my bride, but it wasn't the right order of things. We have to go back down, do the interviews, sign the paperwork, then go up. There's order. To me, that was testimony that we can be excited about all sorts of, I'm going to say, faith things. But there has to be an order in how things are done. Okay, we talk about the priesthood and the keys and the order in which you get baptized, you get ordained, priest, deacon, you progress through. There's order. And you can't run faster than your legs can carry you. Okay. There's a sequence in which things have to be done. And to me, that's a show, a witness, a testimony of this place where things are done, I'm going to say the right way. The prophets of our church have said, other faiths are good. Okay? It's not that they're demonic or satanic or whatever. Other faiths are good. But we have the priesthood which guides us, directs us in how things are done. Okay? And to me, that day, we got lost. And you can get lost with your best friend, with the best of intentions, and as long as you're willing to I guess I skipped some steps. I need to go back. Then you go back and there's always people. Even when we walked back down from upstairs to the main floor and then crossed to the other side of the temple and then, there's people guiding you along the way. And all along the way, people smiling and laughing at us. Like, you're the guys they're looking for. You're the guys they're looking for. So I think the fact that there's order There's chaos along the way, but there's order. That is, that to me is testimony, and is faith building.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Van Cott.
From our first conversation, I was just, I don't know, blown away. You're such an awesome guy. And I've loved talking to you then and now. So I'm just super glad you're able to come.
Glad we finally connected after, the time that we had at the temple. It was fun. Sorry I was late today.
That's fine.
It's been good reliving, going back, looking back, talked about hindsight. It's fun being able to look and see where we're coming from and the foundations that have been laid along the way by, our parents and those that have been beacons in our life. Mm-hmm. It's good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Thank you for the audience.
No problem.
All right.